Thank you. Given the expectation that the election outcome will produce policies that would meaningfully impact the U.S. economy next year, how is the committee taking these proposals into account for upcoming decisions, including potentially the next one in December? And can you give us any more sense of how proactive or reactive the Fed is prepared to be to changes in economic policies with the next administration?
Sure. So let me say that in the near term, the election will have no effects on our policy decisions. As you know, many things affect the economy, and anyone who writes down forecasts in their job will tell you that the economy is quite difficult to forecast looking out past the very near term. Here, we don't know what the timing and substance of any policy changes will be. We therefore don't know what the effects on the economy would be, specifically whether and to what extent those policies would matter for the achievement of our goal variables, maximum employment and price stability. We don't guess, we don't speculate, and we don't assume. Now, just in principle, it's possible that any administration's policies or policies put in place by Congress could have economic effects that over time that would matter for our pursuit of our dual mandate goals. So we, along with countless other factors, forecasts of those economic effects would be included in our models of the economy and would be taken into account through that channel.
Nick.
Chair Powell, Nick Timrose from the Wall Street Journal. Roughly 1 year ago, when the 10-year Treasury was flirting with 5% and 30-year mortgage rates were near 8%, you noted how higher borrowing costs, if they were sustained, could weigh on economic activity. Given that you've said you believe policy is restrictive and the Fed is now dialing back that restriction, are the growth risks presented by higher U.S. Treasury yields today any different from those you identified 1 year ago when inflation was still meaningfully above your target?
So I would just say this: we've watched the run-up in bond rates, and it's nowhere near where it was, of course, a year ago. I guess the long bond rates are well below that level. So we're watching that. Things have been moving around, and we'll see where they settle. I think it's too early to really say where they settle. Ultimately, I'm sure we've all read these decompositions of what, and I certainly have, but it's not really our job to provide our specific decomposition. I will say, though, that it appears that the moves are not principally about higher inflation expectations. They're really about a sense of more likelihood of stronger growth and perhaps less in the way of downside risks. So that's what they're about. We do take financial conditions into account if they're persistent and if they're material. Then we'll certainly take them into account in our policy. But I would say we're not at that stage right now. It's just something that we're watching. And again, these things don't really have mainly to do with Fed policy, but to do with other factors in the economy.